Hey everyone, welcome to Cupboard Creations. My name is Gareth. This is my little corner of the internet for playing with my food. Today I'm doing a recipe which I never ever thought I would do, just because it's so simple and everyone knows how to make this. But then I just figured, yeah sure, everyone does. And it's a bizarre recipe in that no two people ever make it the same. So I wanted to show you mine. Hopefully in the comments section or whatever, you guys can give me some ideas, show me yours, how do you do this? This is just simple spaghetti bolognese. I say it's done everywhere. Everyone's got their own favourite way of doing it. So I thought, let's run through exactly how I make mine. And yeah, if you've got some ideas or there's some special ingredients you put into yours, please let me know. I would love to hear it. So let's get cracking. Only a few things to chop up here. 1 onion. So we're just going to chop this up like really small dice. Right, so that's the onion out of the way. Oh, it's a strong one. 2 cloves of garlic next. Nice and simple. Just going to chop these up really fine. Okay, so that's when we're chopping all done. We're all ready to go. Just going to head over the hob now and we can get cracking with it. Okay, so I've got a hot pan here. Just going to add in a tablespoon, maybe 2 of olive oil. There we go, it's about 2 tablespoons. And then the first ingredient, which is kind of different to what I've seen a lot of people do, is we use smoked pancetta. Now this just adds in such a lovely kind of smoky flavour to it. And as the fat in those lardons kind of cook down, just going to flavour that sauce even more. Absolutely fantastic. So whack those in there. And we're just going to cook those down until they get slightly crispy, almost like a perfect bacon for a bacon sandwich. So it's probably going to take about 4 minutes or so. We'll just keep turning them. You'll notice that a lot of that fat will disappear, it will render down, and it will start to smell really tasty. Okay, that's perfect, that's done now. So it's all gone, just nice and crispy, all of the fat's kind of rendered out. So there we go, nice little crispy nuggets. Don't worry if the bottom of your pan looks like mine. That's all going to lift off and just add to the sauce. Okay, so now that's done, we can turn that right down. And we can add in the onions. We're going to sweat those down probably for about 8 minutes, just to kind of soften them in there. And as they soften down, they're going to lift any of the kind of crunchy, crusty bits that are stuck to the bottom of your pan. And just pull it up, cover those onions, and just bring it right back into that sauce. Okay, there we go. So onions are almost softened, so now we're just going to pop the garlic in, like so. Just because I always find if you try and do the garlic with the onions at the same time, much harder to control. You can end up with really burnt bits of garlic. They don't take quite as long to soften. So we're just going to give them 3 minutes. At the same time, I'm just going to pop in 2 dried bay leaves. And they'll just start releasing their flavour then and get into those onions and into the garlic and just get this beautiful kind of base. Okay, nicely all sweated down. It's got a really kind of lovely herby from that bay kind of smell with kind of lardons in there, pancetta. Absolutely beautiful smell to it all. So now we're just going to pop our beef in. So I've got 500 grams of beef mince here. I'm just going to whack that all in. Try and break it up a bit. There we go. And we're just going to break that up, kind of turn your heat up a little bit. You just want to brown it all off. That's great. So the mince is now browned off. All ready to start on the sauce. Still a little bit of pink in there, but don't worry, that's the pancetta. So now we can start putting that sauce together. Very first thing, red wine. Gotta have red wine in it. And you know, some people tell you got to use a really expensive wine, it's got to be a really good wine. As far as I'm concerned, if it's one you would drink, that will do. Because we're going to use half the bottle and I want something to do with the rest of it. So I don't want to have one that I'm not willing to drink. And we'll just chuck half the bottle in, nice and simple. So now that's in, we're going to bring that up to a simmer with the old lid on. Just get it up to that simmer because it's cold wine. And then once that's doing, we're going to take the lid off and we're just going to simmer it there until we basically reduce it almost by half. So there we go, that's simmering away now. We just keep that simmering until that liquid level drops right down. So there we go, that's reduced right down now. It's about half the volume it was before, which is perfect. Okay, so now let's add the rest in. So what I've got here is some herbs. So I'm going to put in a teaspoon of oregano, dried oregano, in there. A teaspoon of dried thyme. Now you can pretty much use any herbs you prefer for this. I just love the mix of these two. I mean, with the beef and with the tomatoes, everything just goes so well. So, next thing, give that a quick stir in. And then we're going to add in our tomatoes. So I'm using 400 gram tin and plum tomatoes here. I think the plum ones just have bags more flavour. I'm just going to whack those in there. And then obviously there's still a lot left in here. But luckily, our next ingredient is some beef stock. So what we can do, if I can do it without pouring it everywhere, is just pour one into the other, give it a swirl around, get all the rest of that lovely tomato-ness out. There we go. That's it. You've brought that liquid level up again, and then all we're going to do is add a little bit of seasoning. So put in some salt and pepper, good pinch of salt, good couple of grinds of black pepper. So stir that all together, and then quite simply we're going to put the lid on, bring it up to a simmer. We're going to leave it there for at least 20 minutes. If you can go half an hour, even better. And that's just going to allow those flavours to kind of intermingle, pick up all of that lovely reduced red wine, get it in there and kind of get those plum tomatoes to start falling apart. So we'll leave it there, and then we'll add in the very last ingredient when that's done. Okay, so that's had a good half hour in there. There we go, just give it a bit of a stir around, and those tomatoes will then just easily start to break up. Give them a bit of a helping hand, chop them a bit. So there we are, yeah, it's falling apart. So now, as I said, our last ingredient, being a bit daft with it, but it is time. And it's not the time we put in earlier, it's the minutes and hours. So what I'm going to do now is just take that one off there, move it to the slightly smaller back one. We can just keep that, the lid kind of half over, half balancing on top. We can keep that simmering at a really low temperature for up to an hour. And that's going to gradually reduce it right down. All those flavours will kind of intermingle. It's just such a beautiful way of doing it. You'll end up with this really kind of silky, kind of very meaty sauce at the end, which I absolutely adore. So just going to keep it sitting there, let it simmer away, pop back in every 10 minutes, 15 minutes, give it a stir around. We're just looking for it to boil right down. So I'm going to keep my eye on it, and I'll catch you when it's time to show you what it ends up like. Okay, so that's been going now for almost an hour. We've got this really kind of silky, thick sauce to it now. So there we go, it's just bubbling away, and when you pull it, you can see the bottom of the pan, and it just kind of oozes back. It's still just that little bit loose. Okay, so what we can do now, because we are almost there, is just whack the lid on. Then we can get our spaghetti cooking. We can just sit it there lowest as it'll go, lid on, just keep it warm. And then when we're nearly at the end of our spaghetti, you can just take that out, give it a last little blip, just to get it down to that really beautiful thick sauce. So I'm gonna crack on with my spaghetti. I'll catch you in a sec. Okay, so my pasta's all done, that's waiting. All we need to do now is just whip that onto the front one. Crank it up, just reduce it down, just that last little bit, just so we get that really nice thick sauce. So there we go, that's done now. You can tell because when I pull the spoon, you can see the bottom and it just oozes back. Lovely. So now we can just put that to the back and get a nice bowl, and we can start plating this up. Just grab a nice big bit of spaghetti here. Ooh, it's hot still. Just pile that in the middle, and then just grab a really nice spoonful of this, or two. So there you go, decent hearty sized amount. I say this will serve four quite easily. Hopefully you can see just quite how silky and how thick that sauce is, and it will just coat the spaghetti so well. So there we have it, my version of spaghetti bolognese. This is how I do it. Love to hear how you do it. I mean, I'm not going to tell you this is the best. You know, to borrow from the great Tenacious D, this is not the greatest bolognese in the world, no. This is just a tribute. But hopefully gives you some ideas. Hopefully it'd be great if you give me some ideas. There's some things you do with your bolognese out there that could really elevate this even more. I would so love to know that, because I'm never going to stop cooking a good bolognese. It's a great meal. So hope you enjoy it. Hope you give it a go. I'll catch you next time. Cheers.